What is the percentage level of decentralization of the ICON platform?
That's a great question, because decentralization is could be looked at in a very different way. If you look at the pure just delegation at this point, a lot of the delegation is, a lot of the votes are at the top, meaning the top, I think, 22 or top 15 validators have majority of the ICON delegation at the moment, which is not very decentralized. There's been a problem with vote stagnancy. And again, this is not just a ICON blockchain problem. This is a industry-wide problem for a lot of the proof of stake networks, like even Tezos, Cosmos. A lot of the delegation seems to be cluttered to the top validators. We need to somehow move a lot of those delegations to the other, so that it's more evenly distributed to all the other validators. So we call this vote stagnancy, where a lot of the early voters or stakers sort of stake their tokens and they forget about it. They only collect rewards. They don't really participate in the governance of the network. So, we acknowledge that this is a problem. Is it a problem enough for us to, prioritize this? I mean, it is one of our top priorities, but it doesn't really, I guess, it's not something that is, I guess, deadly to the network right now. That is, but it's something. It's a problem that we've been working on, and we are going to try to solve it through different methods, in the next few months. So that's one thing about decentralization. If you ask me, are we, how satisfied are we with the decentralization? I believe that we could do a lot more to make it more decentralized. So that's one. ICON is a DPoS system. So we started out with 22 main validators, meaning 22 top validators are able to make a lot of the decisions for the rest of the network. And EOS is 21. There's I think Tron is another DPoS that they have their own numbers, right? So at each of these DPoS network, we have our own system, and ICON is 22. We want to be able to expand this main PREP base. So right now we have 22. We're going to expand it to 25 very soon, and then in the next year we're going to get it up to 28, 32, and it's going to keep expanding so that the entire decision-making process is more sticky. And once we make a change of the network, it is harder to change. So at that point, I think the entire system will get more decentralized. So long story short, ICON has been, I think on a daily basis, we have been getting more and more decentralized. And as we move into the future, we will continue to get more and more decentralized.
Okay, now going back to ICON being a delegated proof of stake. So what's the reasoning behind that? Because lots of projects that have that kind of, I would say, governance structure, all right, whether EOS or some other projects, people don't really think it's like true decentralization. Basically, it's kind of like governance by a few. Now, how would you respond to that? For example, like Ethereum has more than 7,000 nodes, right? And that's like, people view that as being truly decentralized. But if a project is being governed by 20 people, 30 people, do you think that makes it more centralized?
So it depends. Ethereum, when it comes to block validation, you have all these, tens of thousands of nodes that are running, and you call it POS. But when it comes to actually making decisions for the core blockchain, it's pretty much only the core developers that make a lot of the decisions for the Ethereum blockchain. So, the question is like, is it decentralized enough? I mean, some people say yes, some people say it's not. It's just, I think at that point it's debatable and it comes down to your opinion. I think DPoS, structurally, it doesn't matter if it's DPoS or not. DPoS is a just systematically different from POS, where you're keeping a lot of the validation within the top 22, so the transaction speeds and it's more scalable in that. And that's our kind of solution to a blockchain being more scalable, right? You have the main validators that are 22, and you're asking if that's decentralized enough. I think that's more debatable. Of course, it's not as decentralized as Ethereum or that has as a POS network, but it works for scalability to run dApps. I think it fits today's environment of what we want to try to do. But I think in the future it will continue to, like I mentioned, we start off with 22, we're gonna get to 25, we're gonna get off, increase the number of these main P-reps, main validators. So it will continue to get more decentralized that way on the validation side. On the governance side, I think that's more fascinating. I think there's been a lot of interesting experiments. We're doing a lot of experiments ourselves. There are other projects like Decred, they're doing experiments on their governance structure as well. On the governance side, I think it's, right now, just what kind of governance design that you are comfortable with. It is all, again, debatable on, okay, with some of the things or for some of the decision making, would it be better to have, to make faster decisions versus slower decisions? And with 22 decision makers of the ICON network, there's a lot of good debates. When you move it to like 30 validators, P-reps, or we call it public representatives, it's going to get even more difficult to make decisions, right? So I think it's about finding the right balance of, what's the right amount of time to make change in the network versus not. So I think it's a big question mark, and it's something that we've been experimenting with, honestly.